Welcome back from the break. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on NewsX. BF7 is a subvariant of Omicron. It is the main Omicron subvariant spreading in Beijing and is responsible for the surge of COVID cases in China and all over the world. A high rate of transmission across China has also been attributed to the low level of immunity, which has sparked concerns in India. Now, over which the Union Health Minister is holding a meeting with state health ministers. Rather, he held that meeting earlier today. However, the instructions laid out by the government is only the peel of the onion. Will the government be able to protect Indians from the fourth wave of COVID is the big question. India has faced Omicron virus earlier this year as well, where many had lost their lives. But by what we know so far, will it be more dangerous for Indian, or will the people of India be able to get out of this BF7 wave unharmed? Now, it is known that the BF7 virus has higher transmissibility rates and has a shorter incubation period. It has a higher capacity to cause infection or reinfection of the vaccinated people as well. Then the question arises, will all precautions be enough in this case? Will a complete lockdown be required this time as well? Well, Union Health Minister, remember, Mansukh Mandavia has advised states and union territories to undertake mock drills across health facilities on the 27th of December to ensure the readiness of the infrastructure with specific focus on oxygen plants, ventilators, logistics, as well as human resources. The Union Minister mentioned that the centre and the states need to work in tandem and in a collaborative way to curb the COVID-19 situation. Random testing of international passengers will be done at airports as advised by the Union Health Minister. Masks and social distancing has also been advised. Booster dose has also been advised for people. Travel restrictions have not been imposed yet. There is also no pan-India mask mandate imposed yet. Officials have also mentioned the availability of needle-free vaccines as well. Remember, there's a nasal vaccine now which has been approved by the regulators and the Health Ministry and the Government of India. It's going to be on COVID from later today itself. Will India be able to protect itself from this inevitable situation that is coming in because of the new COVID-19 variant is the big question. Joining us live is Dr. Ishwar Gilada, health expert. We also have Dr. Anil Arora, gastroenteritis. Okay, I presume that's, of course, an incomplete designation, but Dr. Arora, great to have you as well. Let me begin with Dr. Gilada first. Dr. Gilada, your take, of course, on this new wave, this BF7 variant. How lethal is it? How dangerous is it? It's already entered India. Should we be worried?
Firstly, let us understand one thing about COVID. 2021 was ruled by Delta. 22 has been with Omicron. So ever since Omicron came to India, I call it Omicron is a variant of support rather than variant of concern. We started opening up only after Omicron came in. Now, whatever new variants and subvariants are coming, they are all Omicron. There is no new variant at all after Omicron. So whether you talk about BF.7 in China, Taiwan, South Korea, Japan, or you talk about BQ1 or BQ1.1 in USA and Brazil and some European countries, they are all descendants of BA.5, which are the subvariants of Omicron. There is something like territorial authority or territorial possessiveness, like we see in gangs. In Mumbai, used to have a G gang and D gang. And G gang people will not allow D gang to enter, and D gang will not allow G gang to enter. They used to have that their own territory. Similarly, the viruses have their own territory. Since beginning in Omicron, India had only BA.2 and BA.3. BA.3 was very small, and BA.2. Currently, 66% to 70% cases are BA.2, which is called XBB now, which is a recombinant variant. Two different type of BA.2 are combined, and that become a recombinant. So with this, India is not allowing any other variant to come in. Now suddenly to think that because China is let up with COVID, China is bound to, because two false policies. Number one, zero COVID policy. With COVID, zero COVID is not possible. There are some viruses which infect almost everybody in the human race. And one of them is COVID. We popularly say that 90% people are infected, 10% people are telling lies or they do not know. 7% of us are infected, either in the first wave or second wave or third wave. And almost 75% of us are vaccinated. Under this situation, when our vaccine is potent, it is not going to have a very big let up. In China, the second negative point was their Sinovac vaccine, which is a very, very bad vaccine. I don't know why WHO cleared that and why WHO till today did not withdraw the permission to Sinovac. Sinovac doesn't protect at all. Under this situation, it is in vaccine Maitri program, I would like to propose, and government should take up very seriously, offer help to China. China may be anybody with us on border, but on humanitarian level, we offer help to China that will provide you COVID management policies and will provide you best vaccine from India. If any place in the world which can fulfill the requirement of as big the size of China is only India. So whether it's a nasal vaccine or whether it's an injectable vaccine, we can provide that many number of or crores of vaccine to China. So under this situation, our animosity will also end. Whether they take it or not, at least we should offer. And we should not be worried about this let up in India. Let us enjoy the new year. If you want to avoid any kind of crowd, use mask because this virus comes and goes from your mouth and nose. So you close this area and that's it. So beyond that, you do not need any repressive measures. You do not need to close down or have a lockdown. You do not need to close down a flight from anywhere. You do not need very long quarantine because this infection just lasts for 3 to 4 days. And whatever infectivity it has not proved to be more lethal. So I think we are unnecessarily too much worried about this, but preparedness is important. Not only for this, there should be pandemic preparedness. Whether there is any pandemic or cyclone or anything, we should be prepared. We should have number of beds, ICUs, ventilators, oxygen, medicine, and that preparedness meetings are very important that we should keep on checking. Just like sometimes there's a Navy drill and there's a drill by Air Force, there's a drill by Fire Brigade Department. That kind of drill we should have, but there is no real fear about COVID at all in India.
Okay, let me in fact bring in Dr. Anil Arora also at this point onto the broadcast. Dr. Arora, we are seeing these frightening visuals, these frightening pictures coming out of China. They have the world worried. What about India? Should we be concerned? Give us more details about what we know about this new variant. Are you worried? What would you advise government? What would you advise citizens?
Yeah, thank you, Rishi, for having me on your show. As Dr. Gilada rightly pointed out, that we in India have plenty of so-called hybrid immunity. Most of us have already been exposed to the existing virions in the form of either Delta or the Omicron variant, and majority of us have been doubly vaccinated with 2 boosters. So a combination of hybrid immunity, which consists of the natural infection coupled with double vaccination, have given us enough protection against development of any potentially serious disease. Having said that, this is a virus which is pretty tedious. If you look at the evolutionary biology of the virus, it fails to go away. Every year you think you're going to see the end of it, but every new year brings in a bad news of emergence of the one virus over another. If you trace the history from 2022, from Alpha to Delta to Omicron and the newer variants of the Omicron, this virus is not going to leave us. Difference between China and India is China has been having a totally flawed and wanted policy of zero tolerance, which is not very much acceptable and has never worked. The type of political system they had forced it on their people, and realizing that it has worked for the time being, they have been able to win even the election based on that. As against that, the democratic setup in India did allow a good vaccination program as well as the booster, which has resulted in substantial immunity. Now there has been political unrest in the China and people have been objecting to the zero tolerance policy, and they have suddenly opened up everything. Since majority of the population have not been exposed, since the Sinovac vaccine was not as effective as our Covaxin, there is a huge potential of uninfected people in China getting infected with variants and subvariants of Omicron. The potential lies in people who are getting infected in China and traveling all across the world, knowing very well that this is the biggest economy, this is the biggest revolutionary and industrial town of the world. So it is exporting large number of the people who are traveling abroad. So they may be a potential source of carrying the other variants of the Omicron virus, to which the immunity may not be effective, to which the monoclonal antibodies may not be responding, to which the vaccination may not be pretty effective. So far as India is concerned, we have to keep our guard up, even though we are not going to land up with major diseases, including requirement for hospitalization or serious infection because of the underlying hybrid immunity. But new variants can cause a substantial problem in patients who are immunocompromised or who haven't had the second booster dose. As Dr. Gilada very rightly said, that if you want to protect yourself at your own level as a citizen, do avoid going to social gathering if it is possible. Keep on wearing mask. There is nothing wrong. So why the argument about mask at all? Till the whole planet is clear of this virus. So why not keep using the mask? That is so much important. But I don't think we need to be panicking. We are not going to see the type of devastation and the acrimony which we saw during the Delta wave in 2021. We have enough of protection with whatever is happening, and with this type of immunity which we have, I don't think we are going to have serious implications of that. But we have to keep our guard, and the least we should have is we should ask the WHO and the world authorities to insist upon China the basic raw data which should be genuinely given. We have different type of videos which are surfacing out of the China giving different pictures. There was one video about a few days back which showed that there were 5,000 deaths in 4 days. And yesterday there were other news items saying that there was no deaths in COVID. So which one to believe? China being an opaque country, the least we should insist as a member of say G20 or as a senior partner in the US or a substantial stake in WHO, that they should provide us the raw, honest data on which the whole world is dependent. Because the more you have export of the subvariant from China, the more will be problem for the people who have either not been vaccinated or have not had enough of immunity. We possibly are having substantial immunity and we have vaccination program. I don't think we are going to have major implications related to this new subvariant.
Okay, let's quickly now go across to our special wall over here, video wall over here, and get you some special graphics now, which will of course help decode and put things in better context for you. So let's go full frame now if we can. So India fighting COVID-19, we have been doing it for the last 2.5 years ever since the pandemic began, and we are going to continue to do it until we completely defeat COVID. So what's mandatory now? Genome sequencing of positive samples by all states, that has become mandatory now, so that we determine these new variants that have entered the country and have an effective strategy in fighting that particular variant, because each strain, remember, is very different from the other. Now, these are the measures being taken by state governments. So if we talk about Maharashtra first, well, in Maharashtra, all districts and bodies are to increase COVID-19 testing. That's a guideline already given. Districts are to follow a 5-point program: test, track, treat, vaccinate, and ensure COVID-19 appropriate behavior for all. All RT-PCR affected samples with CT value of less than 30 have to be sent for genome sequencing. That's something that has become compulsory now. We can go to the next slide. Okay, let's talk about Uttar Pradesh now. So if we talk about Uttar Pradesh, these are the measures that have been adopted by the state of UP now. So an alert has been issued to step up preparedness across UP. Health officials have beginning arrangements from investigation all the way to treatment. Vigilance has also been increased at airports across the state. Passengers from COVID-affected countries are now to be tested by UP government. People have been urged to wear masks and avoid going to very crowded places. So those are measures that have been enacted by the state of Uttar Pradesh. Let's now talk about Karnataka. Karnataka is seeing all international passengers at Bengaluru airport, which are to be monitored. People have also been urged to take the COVID-19 vaccine. Authorities are to focus on booster dose coverage. Remember, that's something which has become a priority now, because the booster dose coverage is not as high a percentage as we would like compared to people who've got their first and second dose. Obviously, that needs to be ramped up, not just in Karnataka, but across the entire nation. If we talk about Delhi now, well, in Delhi, a close watch is being kept on the COVID-19 situation in the national capital as well. Health department is to ensure genome sequencing of samples. People have been urged to wear masks as well in Delhi. If we talk about Gujarat now, so compulsory testing there of travelers arriving from other countries has begun. The administration is ordered to remain alert and take all precautionary steps. Health Minister of Gujarat has reviewed availability of beds, ventilators and medicines in the state as well, and around 8,000 tests are now being conducted by Gujarat every single day. If we talk about Odisha very quickly, steps have been taken for whole genome sequencing of COVID positive samples. Authorities have been told to follow testing, tracking, treating, contact tracing and vaccination, and testing of travellers arriving from other countries has also started in Odisha. Let me take that across to Dr. Gilada. Dr. Gilada, these are measures that have begun now by various state governments across the country. Are these adequate according to you, or something further needs to be done as well?
Actually, they are overdoing. I don't think anything is required. You have to go by real life situation. You go by Navratri, Dashara, all festivities, Diwali. There is a letter in between. Delhi airport was like a bus adda. People were all without mask. Where is the letter? So if you go by real life situation, it has not had any letter at all in last 10 months. So I think even testing should be offered only as a targeted testing on demand. Just compulsorily testing or random testing. Random testing is important when your outcome is 1% and more. I don't think it's even 1% now. So when your random testing is going to be 1%, you do thousands of people, you get 10 people positive, out of which 70% are XBB, remaining 20-30% are other variants of BA.2 or BA.2.2 or 2.275. Then hardly you will find something. If the BA.7 has been there in India since July, if there was going to be let up in India because of BA.7, we would have a tax of cases. Where are they? So I think whatever immunity we have, whatever vaccines we receive, they are good enough. That immunity is very good enough. I remember earlier we used to have that